You've reached the Hollier helpline. We can't answer your call because we're at Old Navy right now getting 50% off our entire purchase, and you should be too. That's right. Today in stores, everything on your gift list is 50% off. Plus, get thousands of styles $10 and under, and get cozy socks for the family for only $1. Better hang up and get there now. It ends tonight at Old Navy. 50% off valid 11/22 to 11/24. Excludes in-store clearance, gift cards, register lane items, jewelry, today only and 2-day only deals. Cozy socks valid 11/24, limit 10, select styles and in-stores only.
Stop jumping on me. Why are you doing that?
Having a bad dog day?
Rex, come back here.
From police dogs to pet dogs, from potty training to pet peeves, #1 best-selling author and 30-year canine trainer Andy Falco knows how to get to the meat of what's eating your dog. This is Falco Canine Dog Talk, the show that helps you and your dog create a relationship of love and respect.
What a good boy. Good heel, Rex. I love you, Rex.
And now here's your host, Andy Falco.
Hello, this is Andy-falco-Jimenez over at Falco Canine Academy's Train the Dog Trainer program. Podcast, I guess is a better way to say it. And Falco Canine's Dog Talk. I'm here in Brea, California, recording live for you. It's a beautiful day outside, and I'm glad it's beautiful because what I'm about to talk about is not always beautiful. At least my history with having a partner in business, it's probably something that's definitely not my superpower, but I've learned a lot, and I'm here to share you. I'm here to share with you. I really should edit these things, but you know what? I'm going to leave it in because I want you to know if you're considering not doing a podcast because you think you're not perfect at something. I'm here to tell you and show you by example that you can do this whether you are perfect or not, and I definitely am not. And the other thing I'm not perfect at least on some levels, was choosing the right partner. As a matter of fact, it's cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in one particular business, a security company. Really wasn't a partner. I actually was the sole owner, but in the business itself, his job was to run the business, and I didn't select smart. I chose somebody that was a thief, and they were spiteful and all the bad things that you do not want in a partner. And of course, I made huge mistakes by not having very clear rules, boundaries, just the necessary things that we're going to talk about a little bit later on here that should have been in place. It was more by flying by the seat of my pants type of situation. Now, I've had other partners within the business, not partner as in regard to the how this corporation was set up, but in the sense that I had people in my organization that were essential in the running of the business. So, and I made some really good decisions on those, and they went really well. So, what I'm going to refer to here is a really good article in Inc. magazine, and I don't see when. I was trying to find it earlier, and I'm going to look one more time. Maybe I just overlooked it. When this was published on the internet. I do not see it on here as far as a date, but it's the 9 key things successful business partners always do. And I thought these were important. I read through a couple articles online just to see if there was something that I could, I don't always want to give you just my, slant on things. I want to make sure that I'm also giving you some resources that you can refer to. And nope, I just don't see a date. I'm looking all over the place for a date, and there's no date. It seems to be fairly recent and new information, and so I think that I think it's valid today. You can look at stuff. I mean, you look at any of the old business books and things that were written in the early 1900s, and they still, many of them, hold true today, and have not really changed much. It really a lot that has to do with either dealing with customers or dealing with partners and employees, is you're simply dealing with people. And since people were on this earth and we're doing business together, somebody's been writing about it and learning about it. And so I think that even an early man, if the cavemen were writing on the wall about a business partnership, it's probably the same stuff. You have thieves, you have hard workers, you have people that love working together and creating something big. You have all of them, and you've had that entire mix. And just read the Bible if you're one to do that, and you'll see that many of the problems that they were dealing with back then, gluttony, and the inability to save money, or war, all has been happening for thousands and thousands of years. So just that I can't find the date on that on this article doesn't really mean that much, but I just wanted to have that for you so you can know. I will put the link in the description of this particular podcast. That way you can refer to it if you like to. Like I said, I've run a few businesses, and in some of them I've had partners. And my first recommendation, I'm just going to say this from my history. Now, surely there's people that have had partnerships that have, from right off the bat, have been successful. They were good at them and they were successful, and they will have the opposite opinion. But my opinion is not to do a partnership unless it is necessary. And there's going to be a few reasons why it's necessary. So let's say in the security company, it was necessary for me in a sense to have a vice president, so to speak, or somebody that could run the day-to-day operations of the business, because I was busy operating another business. And so I did need somebody that was essentially a partner in the business. For that reason, because I couldn't do both well. I could only do one of them well, and the other one I had the vision to create it, and it skyrocketed very quickly, and went from 0 employees. Well, I went from 2 employees, let's say, to 500 employees nearly overnight, because of the success of being able to create the idea behind the security company, who we were going to go after as far as customers, and the fact that I was able to land them based on the history of what I did for a living as a police officer, and what I had created in my other business, Falco Canine Academy. And because of that, and because of the history of that, the success went fast. And so I needed somebody to essentially manage, not mismanage is what happened. I need somebody to manage the 500 people and the business and the contracts that we had with such things as Comic-Con and a Stagecoach and all the other biggies that were out there that we got right away. And so there was no other choice. I had to have a partner, but I needed to select better. Now there's other times with the dog training business that it was nice to have a partner, because now it gave me a little bit more flexibility, and I did it a little bit more casually, and I both made positive choices in partners, and I made some horrible decisions in partners. The one thing is, you don't want to be in a hurry. Now, that doesn't mean you need to take 6 months to find a partner or an employee, but don't take necessarily that first person that comes to you and go, okay, that's good enough, and take them without doing your due diligence, and just get started right away, and not look at some of the things we're going to be talking about here in the 9 things that successful business owners do. Is that sometimes we can get in a hurry. Like, we're just so desperate to have help. We're so desperate to have somebody take some of the weight off of our shoulders that we go, you know what, they seem really good, and I got a good feeling, and they're funny, and I would go have a beer with them right now, so yes, let's be partners. The thing is, people have dark secrets. There's people that are great at first, in the first couple of weeks. I've had some employees and partners that were amazing people in the first week to couple months, right? Amazing. Showed up on time, maybe even early. They stayed late. They didn't charge for their time. They were great with the customers. They were funny. We actually went out to lunch and dinner together. We had drinks together. No, it was so good, so good. And then whammo, almost the next day, you find out they're lunatics. I would love to tell you some stories, but it's not enough time has gone by that you could probably not find out who they are, and then I'd be in big trouble. But lunatics is a nice word. So let's look at a couple things within the, so that's one of the things. So just don't be in a hurry, and take your time. Find out about them, talk with them. Maybe give them a hard task to do and see if they complete it. There's some really good techniques, and I'll be talking more about this in regard to hiring employees, that you can also apply to a partnership. So I just want to keep on task. If I go too far into, some of the things that we do to get employees, which is I've turned that around completely and have a much better record on that I did in the past because of these systems we put into place. That will be talked about in the future. Right now I want to talk about the decision about having a partner and what it is that you need to do right away. All right. So I want to keep these things very separate. And I think this Inc. article is really good. So number one in the Inc. article is have a successful history together before founding a company. And that's kind of one of the things I was just talking about in regard to understanding that you don't want to be in a hurry and you want to take your time and develop a history if you don't already have one. And so what it says in the article, it says, this is by far the most important item on the list, the one thing from which everything else will flow or won't. Great business partners almost always have had a prior history of working with each other. The more closely they've worked together, the better. If you think you've found a promising person to pair up with, but you don't have that kind of history, then get it. Work on a small project together, or at least spend a lot of time together before you agree to do anything. You don't want the first time you have to work through a disagreement to be a crucial point in the early life of your company. So it's super important. Again, I agree with this wholeheartly, and that's why I really like this article, because it does say that this is one of the most important things, is that, I did a couple things off of first impressions, and first impressions are so misleading and so not a true representation of that person, because people are always so nice in the beginning. All right, number two in the Inc. article, agree on vision. Nothing derails a new venture like having business partners working at cross purposes. So it's crucial that co-founders agree on the vision, both the short-term understanding of the company and value proposition and their long-term understanding of how they think the venture fits into the world. You have your mission statement, right? You have your long-term goals, you have your short-term goals, and you want to write those all out. You want to have them out there where everybody can see them, and you want to discuss them and find out if there's any variations. If the variation that your potential partner has, is it one you can live with? If not, is not having that potential one they can live with, and then get a good feel if they're telling you the truth. Right? Again, if it's an early relationship, many people are going to say whatever they think you want to hear in order to get a job. And so you need to have an agreement on those goals and the mission statements and where both of you plan on being within the first 6 months, year, 5 years, 10 years, and if you want to stay focused. If the partners for, let's say, In-N-Out Burger here in California, the one partner is, hey, we're going to sell hamburgers and French fries and shakes and sodas, and that's it, nothing else. And you got, let's say there's two other partners. One partner says, absolutely, I think that's the way to go. Another partner says, no, after about 6 months, we should probably introduce chicken sandwiches. And then after the chicken sandwich, I have an idea for a rib sandwich. And you can see for In-N-Out Burger, that would not work, right? So very quickly you're able to see, well, all right, it's just going to be us two, the third guy's out, or third gal, right? And so having that discussion and finding out what it is that other person believes should be the future of the company is going to tell you whether or not they are going to be a good fit for your vision. Number three, have the hard talks about money. Oof, that's my weakness. I'm not good at even talking to myself about the money. I hate talking about money. That is not my superpower. My current partner and assistant in the business, she is definitely the money person, and she has to have the hard talks with me about money all the time. And she knows that's her role because I hired her, because that is not my superpower. And so that is what she does. But you need to have it, right? It's important because things can go. So when things are going well, we have $1 million in the bank, no big deal. It's not the big. But what happens when something happens, as happened with my security company? Suddenly that $1 million is not even significant, right? You need another $1 million in order to make payroll. And that's pretty much what happened with the security company. And so you need to have these hard discussions. Although with the partner that I have with the security company, I very explicitly told him that no employee, not even him, no one was to work overtime at an event that we had where we had hundreds of employees working, that not one person cannot work overtime. I was very specific. What ended up happening, every person ended up working not over overtime, but double time. Even after many discussions about, hey, nobody's working overtime, right? Oh yeah, no, nobody's working overtime. And then come to find out that everybody had been working overtime, as if we had millions and millions of dollars in the bank, of which we didn't. So it's tempting and here's the article, it's tempting when you start a new venture to skip some of the tough conversations. You're excited about the idea, and frankly, you don't know whether you're starting the equivalent of Facebook or Friendster, so it can even seem counterproductive to get hung up on money. Some founders dodge the whole thing by just saying they'll split their equity 50-50. All right, and so that definitely is not a go. If you are the leader of the business, if you are the owner of the business, if you're the founder of the business, it is never going to be 50-50, and it should never be 50-50. You are heading down the wrong road when it comes to that aspect. So make sure that you don't do that. Number 4, decide who the real leader is. Now, I just spoke about that. It's you. Right? The real leader. In almost every successful business partnership I've studied, there, and this is the writer of the article. I didn't mention who that was. The writer of the article is Bill Murphy Jr., executive editor of operations of Some Spider and founder ProGhostwriters.com. All right. So in almost every successful business partnership I've studied, and that's the writer, there's usually one visionary leader and one person who is more of a whiz at execution. I call them the big idea person and the get stuff done person. Both roles are absolutely crucial. A big idea without execution is worth very little. However, there has to be some recognition that when the partners disagree or something, that one founder has the tiebreaker, the right to be at least first among equals. All right, so you need to make sure that somebody has the final say, and they're the tiebreaker, and that they'll be the first among equals. It's each part I'm reading, I'm only reading the first paragraph, but in this one it says, it's hard to reconstruct what happened with Zipcar, but it seems likely that Chase and Danielson never really resolved this before launching, according to The Verge. The rift continued to deepen, and Danielson says she was rarely consulted on decisions. Even though the company's core was composed of only a handful of people at the time, it looked like Angie was not being brought into the discussion, says Paul. They're talking about a business, obviously, and I didn't read you that part of the article, but this is where you don't have communication, you don't have somebody being consulted, and people are taking charge when they shouldn't be taking charge, it sounds like. So be careful about that. Number 5, ensure you understand each other's commitment. It's a great advantage not to have other commitments tugging at you when you launch a new venture. However, that's rarely the case, and frankly, it can be reckless to quit your day job before figuring out whether a venture will really work. And so ensure that the other's commitment is at the same place as yours, and understand where they're at. Are they going to stick around on a job that they currently are at and wait until it makes sense for them to quit? And you have to know that, right? I've had people say, yeah, I'm fully committed, and then later on I'm saying, hey, I need you to work this day. Oh, I can't. I have another job. Well, wait a minute. This is your job, and I was expecting you to be there, and now that you're not, what are we going to do? All right, number 6, have compatible vital skills. This is related to the decision about who the real leader is. A venture founded by 2 programmers isn't doomed, of course, any more than a company launched by 2 industry experts. However, if both business partners have the same skills, you're probably going to need to seek outside help. That can cost a lot in terms of time, money, and synergy, and lots of other assets that can be in short supply in a startup. So I think in many cases, if my security manager, who essentially was a partner in the business, would have been honest, his skill set was managing the other people, the employees in their jobs. He did have that skill. Unfortunately, he was a liar and a cheater, right? And so did need his skill, because that was not my skill, managing all those people with the security jobs. So that skill was filled by him. It's just that he failed in the other areas, right? And so you got to find people that have the skills that maybe you don't have to be your partner. That would be probably a better way to go. Have compatible styles. Number 7. You probably don't want 2 partners with the exact same leadership styles and personalities, but you do want people who are compatible with each other. For example, between you and a potential business partner, who is the dreamer and who likes to start late and work until 3 a.m.? Who is motivated morning person? Who can handle emergency customer calls before sunrise? Who is the person who is fastidious about finances? And who is the one who has the natural charisma and sales ability? Yes. And that's, that's going to be apparent probably right away. If you guys and gals are exactly the same, I'm going to find that to be very shocking, that you're going to have some strengths. Now, you also have to be honest with yourself, right? There are some people that I know that they want to be that person who is in front of the camera and doing all this stuff, but, they're just not the person who probably should be in front of the camera. Either they have some tick that is distracting, they have some thing about their personality that off-puts people that should be your perfect customer, and maybe, again, that's one of those tough discussions that you have to have and say, listen, maybe there's something we can do together on camera, but, in front of the camera is probably not the best place for you to be. And again, has nothing to do with looks, and often has nothing to do with the way they talk, right? I've seen people that have there's a radio personality here in Los Angeles, and he messes up every other word, and he slurs his word and whatever, and he's one of the leading broadcasters, and just got accepted into the Radio Hall of Fame, I think it's called. And he's horrible, but he's awesome, right? At the same time, his personality, the way that he talks about how he does it, apparently is exactly what his perfect audience is looking for. So there's other things, right? And something that you need to look at could possibly, take precedence over, whatever it is that you want personally. That it's better. You do have the strength and the power in this one area, that you do that instead of what it is you think you want to do. So, and that's a tough one, right? So, having compatible styles is really, really important. All right, number 8, decide how to fill other positions. Second only to choosing business partners, the decisions on whom to hire for early positions are among the most important to the life of a young company. Yes, deciding, oh my gosh, I can't tell you. I did have a business partner that I did get along with. We did great work together. We saved one of the companies from some very troubling times, just times in the economy that we really had no control over. But we were able to come out of it and continue to. The business was let's see, we're going on our 20th year or something like that. So obviously, it's a good business. It actually. As customers, we make money, or else we wouldn't still be in business. But there was a time where it didn't look good, right? We were going, we're not going to have any money for next month, and then came out of it and was able then now to have savings and pay off all their debt and blah blah blah. So, on occasion, I was wrong in who I hired, and really had to listen to what she had to say about who we should hire, because she had a sixth sense, as many women do, about people and things and stuff like that. So bringing her into the hiring decisions was one of the most important things that I did. All right, so deciding on how to fill other positions is really, really important. The people that I chose, she couldn't stand, not because I hired them. They just turned out that she couldn't deal with them. They were difficult people, and to me, they weren't. Right? I can handle certain things with people and not overlook it. What's the word? I did overlook it probably, but I also just it didn't bother me. People have an attitude in how they talk sometimes, and I don't. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't even raise a hair. But with other people, it rubs them the wrong way. It makes it difficult for them to work together. And so having that decision, having decided who makes those decisions, if you do them together, or if they're going to work with that other person more than you, then they probably should have a bigger say in that person. But having that up front is really important. And number 9, have a plan for a happily ever after. Oh my gosh. Yes. Few companies last forever. Fewer founders can successfully navigate the transition from leading a small, dynamic company to one that grows into a big player, employing hundreds. In fact, the skills that lead to success in the first kind of venture often are the exact opposite of the kind that lead to success later. Meanwhile, if you're starting a venture with someone who you have a good relationship with, in the relationship, is that relationship strong enough to survive whatever end game of your venture turns out to be? Really important. Having that exit strategy, how it is you're going to, break up, who gets what, is there a payoff because, of the number of people that possibly you brought in as far as customers? What is that going to look like? What's it going to cost them per customer? In the end, having all of that in upfront on day one is much better than having to deal with it on day 654 or whatever it is that when that end happens. And it'll just make it a lot better. Now, nothing is perfect. I'm starting a new business venture with 3 gentlemen right now, and we've talked through it, and I think that we have a really good understanding of what the exit is going to look like, and I'm glad we had the discussion because it was a really important one, and I think it's going to go well. But I've had that discussion with other partners, especially the one that went really well, and in the end still got sued for, I don't know, $15,000 or something like that. And it's an odd one because what I had asked her to do actually is the thing that bit me in the butt. So just to kind of give you a small story, what I did was I told her, I said, hey, make sure and figure out how much exactly that I owe you. As far as, your end paycheck, the hours you have in, and that kind of stuff, make sure and put that all together for me so that I can write a check so that there's nothing hanging over us. And I trusted her to do that. I didn't need any proof. I just needed her to tell me how much I owed her, and I'd write her a check. Well, later on, I got notified of a lawsuit. She was suing me because I didn't pay her for the time it took her to give me the amount that I needed to give her when she left. And I still, to this day, don't understand how that works, but for whatever reason, in the state of California's wisdom, they said, yes, you owe her $10,000. And how did it get to be $10,000? Well, it turned out that it was only $45 for the amount of time that it took her to figure it out, because I think it was like an hour and a half or something like that, maybe an hour. And so if I would have known, right? I didn't know because I told her to give me a full give me the full amount of money that I owe you, so they can write you a check so that we don't have it hanging over us. I guess that wasn't very clear. That probably also included the amount of time it took her to find out how much I owed her, right? But because I didn't tell her, also add the time that it takes you to put that together into that number, I guess I owed her. The fact she never told me that and chose to sue me later on, it was nearly, I guess, whatever the statute of limitations was, that because it came to the courts at, a year later. Again, she didn't sue me until a year later, that they charged me for each month that went by that I didn't pay her that $45. So in the end, the penalties totaled up. Yes, I know you're probably falling out of your chair. The penalties, the interest, whatever it was, totaled to $10,000. And the state of California ordered me to pay her $10,000 for the hour that I didn't pay her when I asked her to put together the amount that I owed her. True story. So that I don't think anything that I could have done, there's anything I could have done better. Maybe just said, and also include the hour that it's going to take you, which it didn't take an hour. It was just all she had to do was pull out her timesheet, right, and give me the amount. I'm pretty sure that did not take an hour. She could have just made a real quick copy or took a picture with her phone and sent it to me. There's a number of things that I'm sure would have shortened that time, but it didn't help me on that. I guess you can, now that you know my story, make sure that that's in there. That all time is to be accounted for, and let me know so that I can pay you. All right, so I appreciate your time and listening to this podcast. I hope I've not scared you off for running a business, but these are the things, again, you can have the perfect relationship. You can have everything going well and everything will go fantastic. And I wish you the best in running a dog training business with or without partners. Just understand that once you bring in another person, there is a dynamic that you may or may not be prepared for. So take a look at this article. I'll put the link in the description from Inc. Magazine, and any other article that will help you set up essentially a contract of your partnership and what can be expected and who will be making what decision, when and where, and all that type of stuff, right? So I hope this is helpful to you, and I will see you at the next podcast. Take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Falco Canine Dog Talk, the show that helps you and your dog create a relationship of love and respect. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address at www.falcocanineacademy.com and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Falco Canine Academy. Follow us on twitter.com/Falco Canine Academy and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Falco143. And remember, if you've got questions for Andy, call the K9 line at 714-798-9961. That's 714-798-9961. This is a production of Falco Enterprises Incorporated. All rights reserved.
You've reached the Holiday Helpline. We can't answer your call because we're at Old Navy right now getting 50% off our entire purchase, and you should be too. That's right. Today in stores, everything on your gift list is 50% off. Plus, get thousands of styles $10 and under, and get cozy socks for the family for only $1. Better hang up and get there now. It ends tonight at Old Navy. 50% off valid 11/22 to 11/24. Excludes in-store clearance, gift cards, register lane items, jewelry, today only and 2-day only deals. Cozy socks valid 11/24. Limit 10. Select styles and in stores only.